Hello, welcome back to Lady Love Said Reads. My name is Jessica, and in this video I'm sharing with you my favorite quotes from March 2025. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I do read books that tend to fall into one of two categories. On the one hand, cozy and whimsical. On the other, dark and twisted. Because I do read some dark and twisted stories. If any of these books interest you that I talk about today, please do check your trigger warnings before picking them up. I don't share triggers on my channel because I think they're spoilery, but if you have any concerns, I recommend using the app Storygraph. When I do my quotes videos, the quotes primarily come from books that I read, but they can be from anywhere. They can be things people say to me in my day-to-day life. They can be things that I see on the news, on TV, and the shows I'm watching, movies I'm watching, YouTube videos that I see. Like, literally, they can come from anywhere. Most of them come from the books that I read. A lot of times when I'm just going through my life, I forget to write down quotes that I hear. But I read some pretty good books in March. So let's just dive right in with the quotes. I have them written down on my computer over here, so I will be turning my face so that I can read the quotes. The first one comes from The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. This is actually the first line in the book, and I thought it was such a good opening line. It says, "The first person I met in England was a hallucination." Isn't that a fantastic opening line? The next bunch of quotes comes from my favorite read of March, which was Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. First we have, "An extraordinary amount of intimacy lay in exchanging art, not for critique and not for class, just to look, to feel, to understand each other." Next, "To write something nice, he'd need something nice to say, but his ribs were a cage for monsters, and they cut their teeth on his bones." Oh, the imagery of that. So good. And then last from Don't Let the Forest In, "I think someday you'll hate me." Thomas's voice stretched with a loneliness Andrew had never heard before. "You'll cut me open and find a garden of rot where my heart should be." Andrew let the silence sharpen between them, waited until Thomas's breath caught in quiet anguish from being made to wait. "When I cut you open," Andrew finally said, "all I'll find is that we match." That gives me goosebumps and kind of makes me tear up a little. This is such a good book. The next quote comes from The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, just one. It says, "We must believe in our souls that we are somebody, that we are significant, that we are worthful, and we must walk the streets of life every day with this sense of dignity and this sense of somebody-ness." Next, from the Bletchley Riddle by Ruta, Sepetys, and Sheinkin, we have, "Passengers squint through the open window towards the sky, and suddenly I'm angry, ready to call the Germans bluff. They're manipulating the whole of Britain through threats and propaganda. They're not going to bomb us. They don't need to. They're controlling us through our own fear." That's so incredible. In a middle grade, explaining German propaganda, really good. And then the next one, "I turn in a slow circle. The sky is blue, but the city is the color of war." Oh, that is also a really excellent book. I have one from Pictures of You by Emma Gray. "Boundaries are something you put around yourself," Bree says quietly. "When someone else puts them around you, it's called a prison." And then this last chunk of quotes comes from Bloodmarked by Tracy, Deonn. "The unsaid thing about funerals is that directly after the communal mourning for someone you love, after everyone is gone and connected grief dispersed, comes a solitude beyond imagining, a great gaping nothing, where a whole person and life and future used to be. The other side of a funeral is abyss." Tracy Deonn does grief so well. Next one. "Grief isn't a competition. It's not an identical pain that we all meet one day when death finds us. It's a monster, personalized by our love and memories to devour us just so. Grief is suffering tailored." Two more. "Wanting something fiction to be fact and having the power to convince other folks of the same That's how power stays put. And then the last quote from Bloodmarked, we have, intention isn't want. Intention isn't even need. She looks up out at the yard, taps her pointer finger to her chest, and tips it outward. Intention is the bare bones of desire, but it requires fuel. That fuel is your will. Those are my favorite quotes from the month of March. Something that I have been loving about these videos is we are creating a vault of wonderful quotes in the comments. So let me pull up last month's video and I will read to you some of the quotes that people left from last month's video in the comments. That was a very clunky way of saying that, wasn't it? So from my favorite quotes of February 2025, Cajun Peach Reads writes, if you're going to feel bad today, then make it big. Lie on the couch and throw your wrist across your forehead and sigh loudly so we all know what's going on for you. That way we can step back and say, okay, that's what she's doing now. Go ahead, get it over with. I'll wait. If you mourn, okay, that was one, I think. Here's another one. It says, if you mourn right away or try to put it on hold, you can't really feel much at all. There is still one thing we all have in common. There's no timeline and no finite ending to grief for your mom. You keep waiting for it to change or to feel differently. Some days the tears are going to come and you just have to let that be. They might not be convenient or they might show up unexpectedly. If you go into a funk, then really let yourself go fully into it. Pull up a fainting chair, draw the curtains, close out the world for a while and get as insane in your grief as you ever thought you could. Get into an insanity funk all over the house. Let it out. It will help you get up faster and back into life. But count on the grief to come back. Even years later, 3 years after my mom passed, I would sometimes think, why am I still feeling like this? It's not a grief that has an end date. It evolves, but it stays around. It becomes something that hangs out in the corner. It's still nearby every day. And sometimes it comes up and runs at you. You just have to let it do what it's going to do. And those are both from the book Bits and Pieces, My Mother, My Brother, and Me by Whoopi Goldberg. Awesome. Those were so good. So thank you for sharing those, Cajun. And then another one from Now or Never by Janet Evanovich, which is definitely Stephanie Plum, book 31. Wow, so many books in that series. So this quote is, food isn't supposed to be mixed together, my father said. It's supposed to be all separate on the plate. I agree. I don't like when my food mixes. So thank you so much for sharing those quotes and adding them to our vault of quotes here at the Lovestead. Those of you watching today's video, please add your favorite quotes from the month of March or that you've heard recently in the comment section and contribute to our vault. If you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know that you're here, go ahead and leave me the teardrop emoji because so many of these quotes dealt with grief today. If you are enjoying my content, make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel. If you're really feeling at home here, join the Discord. Everything is linked down below. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye!